What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Abandoning the Black Matriarchy. I'm just going to lay out some things. Basically, I think a lot of our women think black men are abandoning black women. But in my opinion, we aren't abandoning black women, we're abandoning the black matriarchy or the ideology of the matriarchy or the situations presented by the matriarchy because they don't help the men in the community. And there's a lot of things that happen over time that guys have to deal with because of the black matriarchy, instead of that makes us understand we can't work with it. And especially if you're a man who got your stuff together and you want to be a patriarchal man, it's not going to work. On a community level, it doesn't work. It's a problem. Nobody ever talks about this, but because our community is a matriarchy, they've had at least 5 decades of a matriarchal indoctrination, and in that time frame the community has gone downward. It's failed. So part of the abandoning the ideology of matriarchy in our community is because we've seen continuous failure. Another thing about that is we see people think it's the success of women and guys not liking successful women and hating on and the failures of men. But it's not really that. Like, say women bring up corporate America. Women feel like they're more successful than black men in corporate America. The issue is who got black women in corporate America initially was black men. These are the men who got in corporate America first, did their thing in corporate America, got these women hired, and now as time passes, these women hire everybody but black men, and they don't even hire their sons. Now, I'm pretty sure the men who initially thought about that were like, you know what? I'm sure they're gonna hire other sisters. That's a good thing. But they thought these women were gonna hire their fellow man, but no, it didn't happen, and that doesn't happen. So, that's a reason why brothers are abandoning the matriarchy in a employment sense, because these women won't even get their own sons and nephews hired. They'll get their nieces hired, they get their daughters hired, but not their sons and nephews or cousins like that. So, problem number one. Another reason that people don't want to talk about is, under the matriarchy, the boys have been stagnant and declining in level of skill as adults into society. The longer our matriarchy has been intact, the less likely our sons are able to become men and actually produce. There is no networking in networks that derive from the matriarchy. There is no businesses that were started from the matriarchy. There is no, even for the women, unless you count them like hair salons. So it's a problem. And in this, there are enclaves of patriarchal mindsets and patriarchal men, and you could really say that, ultimately one of the issues is that the men who are more so patriarchal have done more for the men in the community and the women in the community than the matriarchal women have done for the men and the women in the community during this time frame, which is a problem, because ultimately these matriarchal communities and this matriarchal mindset ultimately puts the responsibility on the men anyways. It went from, we can do whatever y'all could do, we could do what y'all do better, to it's y'all fault that it's messed up. These women are raising the very men that they say are complete failures. And if you're raising failures on your watch and saying they're failures and they're unprepared, and then turn around and say it's because the men aren't around, then ultimately guys will abandon the matriarchy because the matriarchy gives them nothing but blame. You know what I'm saying? So brothers are abandoning the matriarchy, and so abandoning the mindsets of matriarchal ideologies, and abandoning the idea of being with women who are in matriarchal have a matriarchal ideology and mindset. One of the other things, brothers are abandoning the black matriarchy because of the black female intelligentsia. They, besides Frances Cress Welsing and Shahrazad Ali, everybody else is short-sighted, impulsive. Like, they can't think ahead. Everything is about right now, right now, right now. And then they can't tie in what happened previously, what happened prior to right now that is created through right now. And they can't put into perspective what's going on right now, how it's going to affect the future. So the black female intelligentsia has no foresight whatsoever, but constantly keeps coming up with, last minute ideas. If you fix this, it'll be fixed, but never taking into consideration if how will this affect the children in the future or the people in the present. They don't know. They haven't thought these things through, and to have no wise counsel is a problem, and to ostracize your wisest counsel and demonize your wisest counsel in the sense of like Shahrazad Ali, or marginalize your wisest counsel like Frances Cress Welsing, says a whole lot about not being able to really be to have a mental capacity to run a community. Another thing, the destruction of femininity under the matriarchy is very problematic. So you could talk about the Willie Lynch letter and basically say that's what the black matriarchy has played into. And I think the men become more feminine, the women become more masculine. The women actually think they're doing something because they're talking a lot and loud and aggressively, and at the same time not doing anything. But and they think power is in words and not in action. And in the patriarchy, it's the opposite. Power is in action and not in the words. And that's a problem. And using that as an example, brothers abandoning the black matriarchy because it's raised children to think they can talk their way into success without the action of competition. We could talk, but we can't compete. That's a problem. Thus, this is why we're behind as far as competing. Economically, brothers are abandoning the black matriarchy because, ironically, the black matriarchy itself has gotten their resources from black men and white society. They've been subsidized by their own men and the government and white society. And ultimately, when you look at it, black men are still fiscally ahead of the women. So you were able to play both sides of the fence, and you still can't come out ahead. So that screams ineffective. So this is why brothers are abandoning the black matriarchy, because it really doesn't bear fruit. The same thing that goes for the women. The women right now have no faith in the black matriarchy because they're not asking the women, their foremothers, to fix any of this. They're asking the men of this generation to fix this. And these very men were raised by these very women out of their foremothers. So for the men, it's like we don't need a black matriarchy because it won't, it's ineffective. It doesn't produce success. Even when it skews and rigs the game for the women, they still wind up behind the men, just not as far behind the men as other groups men are. I mean, other groups women are behind their men. And ultimately, it's not creating successful offspring in communities. You know, the children are looked at in a negative light, you know, which is an issue. And people say it in general with society, these kids need to be around their fathers more. Caveat, that's the other thing. A lot of people are abandoning the black matriarchy, especially when they become adults, because there are a lot of adults who don't want any parts of their mother as grown adults. And there are a lot of adults who understand how the family courts work, and but if you ask them, they would have rather been with their father. So that says a lot, you know. Plus, in the black matriarchy, there is no protection and there is no provision, you know. And thus, if you don't provide anything and you expect the children to grow up and take care of the matriarchs, but the matriarchs can't provide for the children, they can't protect the children, you know, are waiting on the patriarchy to do it, even though they're undermining and sabotaging the patriarchy. That says it's a bad model. So I think these are some of the reasons why people are abandoning the black matriarchy, not necessarily the black women, and plus the sisters' ideologies in it. Like, the ideologies that were passed down in the black matriarchy are not conducive to having a family, maintaining a family, building a community, building an economic platform, building a base, like rejuvenating Black America is can't be done with a matriarchal ideology. And most of the women who are under these ideologies are unhappy. So it's losses. It's just it's a system full of losses, and you know, for ladies to feel like you know we got black girl magic, but if you got black girl magic, you should be able to fix your problems and not blame the men. You know what I mean? You know, black women want better representation. Well, in your matriarchy, you have avenues where you actually control your image and you give yourselves a bad image, but you want the men to give you a better image. You get what I'm saying? And that's a problem, you know. And also, in general, when it comes to the building a community, or building, providing, protecting, maintaining, this is work that matriarchs aren't willing to do in the first place. So what they want is for patriarchal men to come along, build everything for them, and then run it for them, and then they just run around and say they're the boss. This is, you know, ultimately this is why people are abandoning the black matriarchy. This is why girls, you talk about Blackistan and there are no good black men, because those men have abandoned the matriarchy because it's not conducive to success. You know, it's not successful whatsoever for economic purposes, for community purposes, for family purposes. You know, it's just not a successful model. And you notice how we were used as a guinea pig for it, and women of other groups don't necessarily want to do that. They don't want to live in the matriarchy that black women are living in. Actually, in some ways, black women are used as the example of this is going to happen to you if you want to be a matriarch. Thus, when the men see that, this is part of the reason why men are abandoning it. And also, this is a part of the reason why some of the women are abandoning it and wanting to be with men who are more patriarchal. So we out, y'all. Peace.